I'm going to introduce our demonstrator.
Recording.
All right, you let me know when.
So I'll introduce you, Rafael. So Rafael DeSoto, right?
DeSoto, yes.
DeSoto, has been painting with watercolor since the 1980s. And he's received many awards and grants. He worked for high-tech companies for about 10 years as a graphic designer, and he presently teaches in the Bay Area. I know you teach at the Pacific Art League and University Art in Redwood City, and I'm not sure where else, so you can tell us.
Should I lock it down?
No,
Lock
no.
down? Okay.
Okay.
Are we on? Are we going?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Can you all hear me out there? Mute the screen. Well, okay. I'm not gonna look at that.
No,
No,
I'm gonna look at this.
yeah.
those are our Zoom people on the top, and the rest is you.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Oh!
Okay, so thanks for having me. My name is Rafael, and I'm in Los Gatos, and thanks for, I love it in, where are we? In Los Altos.
Yeah.
Did I say, I said San Carlos, did I say that? Yeah, that's where I'm living, that's where I am now, in the studio there. And I have some workshops coming up, so before I forget, I just want to let you know that you can go to my website. It's Rafael with an F, Rafael DeSoto Jr. Jr.com, and I have a list of all the classes. I have an essential watercolor painting class coming up. I'm also just put this on the screen. So that's there we go. Did we lose? Oh. So anyway, this is going to be starting on Saturday, this Saturday, February 17th, the 24th and March 2nd from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's essential. It's everything that you would need to know to get going with watercolors. It's for beginners and those with some experience. The first one is a fundamental fun, which we just going to be a review of everything that you need to get started with. And then the next week is color and relationships. And then finally, seeing simply and painting boldly. So you can take these classes, individually. If you take the whole thing, there's a discount. So just go to my site and that has all the information. So enough of a plug. Thanks for having me. So I'm going to do a winter landscape watercolor. And the hardest thing is decide on the reference. What am I going to do today? So I have a couple. I have this one here, which I've done before, and then this one of an old barn. I could do either one. What do you guys like? You like old barns?
Hold them up. Yeah.
I have this one, and then I have this one with water. It just has water in
I
it.
like the water.
Water. You like the water? Okay, so do I. Let's go for the water. Okay, so what the very first thing oh, what happened?
It's kind of cranky.
Are we still on?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
It came back quite.
Anyway, so I hope they can see the reference because I'm going to refer to it a lot. So anyway, I'm going to just sketch this out. I'm not going to take a lot of time with it. I just want to get the basic forms down to as a map to know where I'm going to go. And what's going to be white, what's going to be water, what's going to be trees. So how I start, I should just mention the materials I'm using. Well, watercolors, it's a mix. I just high quality paint, that's all, just not student grade. And for this session, I'm using good old Arches Rough, my one of my favorites. But recently I discovered another brand. I'll tell you about it in the break. Fabriano, and it's wonderful. But like anything, you get used to a certain paper, and it's like, oh, here, now see how this one, and it takes a little while to get used to. But
Yeah, I've used Fabriano.
you've used it, yeah. It's really good. It's it's nice because you can lift, you can really work it a lot. All right, so let me just get started. I usually start with the horizon line, and I'm just going to make that in lightly. I don't know if they could see this on the video or not, because it's you guys can't see what I'm doing.
I know, no, it's going in.
Oh, it's just glitchy.
How are you if we that are here stand around you?
Well, I don't have any
Yeah.
problem with that. Please go ahead. Not at all. So I'm just going to keep going. Because I really want this, I really want to emphasize the water here. I'm putting the horizon line a little bit higher than, the image. I never copy. I just reference is exactly what it is. It's just reference, and you're using it to interpret your own painting, So, but I do try to get, like the free stock and all that. So that's really. There we go. We're back in action. So anyway, I'll give you a list of.
Do you usually paint from a photo or on site or both? Or
Well, I love painting outdoors, but it's kind of been nasty recently. So
Yeah.
so I
do you
like.
do both? Or?
Oh yeah, I do both. But when I do it from a photo, again, I just use it as I interpret the photo. It's just okay. We're gonna have a stream here, and basically it's it. But I'm change up the composition a little bit to my preference. For instance, I'm going to make the horizon line, a little higher, because that old rule of thirds, you don't want it centered and everything dead on. That would be boring. And I'm just going to indicate that there is some rough foliage here. I'm going to pick a real complicated one, didn't I? And there's a tree, and I really like this tree coming out of here, so I'm just going to indicate that coming out. And always good to have a handy eraser. You all, how many watercolor artists? Oh, quite a few. Okay, so that as soon as you make your pencil marks, and as soon as you hit water on it, pretty much that's it, because the lead gets absorbed right into the paper, and you can't really erase it. So if you don't like pencil, you want to keep that in mind. So I'm just going to break up the horizon a little bit with my own interpretation of snow, and I'm going to put this a little bit over to the it's sort of dead center. I'm going to put it over here a little bit more. So that's the point, and I'm going to come down right about here, and I love this little, these little, I guess they're rocks with snow on them, but they're really nice. It leads to the composition. And here's another one, and here's another. I'm not doing it. It doesn't have to be accurate. I'm just going to put them in there. And I do want the snowbank high enough so that, we have these shadows. This is what's interesting, the shadows over here. So so there we have that. And this snowbank kind of comes in here like that. And, again, it's the rough forms that I want to get, and that water.
Is this a photograph you took? You took
No, this is somebody, this is from a site, Pexels, not Pixels, Pexels. It's, everybody posts things up free, and it's, no, actually, the more light, the better. I can't see.
It was better than
Yeah,
it
okay.
was. Yeah, okay. It's important to see as an artist.
Yeah, I need to see.
Really?
Well, you were asking me outdoors. Yeah, I do like it, but I have a nice studio, so I'm real spoiled.
Yeah.
I like being at home, the comfortable, the lighting, and all the comforts of home.
Yeah.
Is your studio where your home is?
So this is important because it is our map. And I love this light that comes down here and this big snowbank. So I'm just going to rough it in like that. See that there? And then there's just these wonderful shadows. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get all this, but in any case, I'm going to do my best. But I do love the bank and the shadow. So I'm just going to indicate here,
Your chair's too low.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
gonna change it up a little bit. I think I'll just make this.
I guess this is the guy.
It's good to spend more time getting your drawing correct, than, because you can't really correct it once you start putting paint on.
And
And-
Rafael, if you don't finish it tonight,
I will.
you can, okay, I was gonna say, you can send me a
Well,
picture.
I'll try.
Yeah, if you don't, you can send me a photograph of it and then I
Sure,
can send it to
sure.
Sal and he'll send it to
And
everyone.
we're gonna take a break.
We don't
at some
see
point,
it.
or do we
want.
want-
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
you know,
it's up to
just
Yeah.
I might need to
Yeah, sure.
try stuff.
So
Yeah.
the rough and then.
Okay, so you're asking about, yeah, I'm putting this on like a
I'll
masonite
go down.
board. And I'm using artist tape. You can use masking tape so long as it's acid free, but what I found is, I usually have 3 or 4 of these going on at the same time, and sometimes I'll I forgot that one for a week. Well, that masking tape is real hard to get off. That's even though it's acid free, it's it sticks to the board. However, if you're ever going to do masking using tape for masking, that's better than this. This stuff leaks. So this is the artist tape, quote unquote, and the masking tape doesn't leak, but you can't keep it on for very long.
Do you use the painter's blue tape or frog
I
tape?
have done.
Oh, sure.
I know it's not acid free as far as I know.
Oh, it's not.
I don't think so. It really has to say that. Is it acid?
Yeah.
Anyway, so you can see I'm just, these are going to be the forms for this, and I really loosely did it. I guess I have a lot more water than the painting does, but that's okay. You know what I'll do. You also find out that sometimes you're doing stuff, and for instance, this one is a lot more cinematic. It's a different ratio, than the paper is. So you just have to figure that out, to compensate for that. So this is kind of a soft pencil. I usually use a harder pencil, but I don't mind. So here's a little snow thing here. And here we go. I guess I want a lot more of this white. I definitely want this white. And believe it or not, that's enough for me to go on. Now, I know that it's good to have no tans and figure out, okay, what's your gray, what's your values, your grayscale values and all that. And it's really good. I highly recommend that. However, for this demonstration, we're just going to hit the road and just go and paint. And that being said, I've got 2 different waters. They're smaller because we're in a small, usually I have a lot bigger water space, but this is fine. And I use 2 different ones because I don't have to stop and go back and change the water. I can keep going. So I'm going to go wet on wet for the sky. All right. And that means I'm going to wet this paper really nicely and let that absorb. But I'm not going to come down any further than where the snow is, because as you probably already know, you watercolorists, dry paper and wet brush is sharp line. Wet paper and wet brush, soft line. So I get it so that it's really absorbed, but it's not shiny anymore. And sometimes if you get a little bubble, you can, cheat. Okay, so that's that. At the same time, I'm going to wet the water too, because these 2 things are going to be a big wash. And I want to get the values down there before I start getting in these trees and whatnot. The only thing I want to do is have a little more definition for these. I just made them circles, but that's part of the demo. You see, I just kind of went, well, now maybe I'll refine it a little bit. Now you can use masking fluid. I don't, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. But I find that sometimes it's better to just, when it's simple like this, I can just paint around it. I really don't need the masking fluid as long as I keep, the edges sharp. So I'm just going to come in here and wet this, right up to the line. The only thing I'm careful about is I'm just going to leave these white spaces for the snowy rocks, you know. Again, I'm just adding water. They probably can't see that on the video, but
Actually.
I'm painting invisibly.
Yeah. With invisible paint.
So there we go. We're back on the air, so to speak. All right.
Is it gonna be dry?
It's absorbed. It's not dry. But it's absorbed. Now, as you probably know, watercolors, when you apply the paint, it dries lighter. And it, you know, could significant. It could be 10-15% lighter than when you see it. So you kind of have to overcompensate for that a little bit. So I'm going to put my sky in here with cobalt blue, and which is way too intense. As you can see, it's like, oh, I'll put that in, I'll be in trouble. So I'm going to till it down here with some one of my favorite blues, and this is Prussian blue. And Prussian blue is also very intense. It's just darker. And just to kill the chroma, I guess, I'm going to have a touch of Payne's gray. And sometimes when you touch it, it's like I put too much on the brush. So what I do is I go over here first, and then I go, oh, that's too much. But you see, I didn't put it in. So then I can mix it. And then I'll say,
Paint's great.
that's what I want. See, I have a little test pattern. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the sky in. Obviously, it's, whoa, that's way dark. Well, yeah, it'll turn out lighter, but that's what we want for right now. Now, what I'm going to show you is that I put it in, you see how it's nice and coming down nicely like that. Well, I'm going to now use kind of the side of the brush, and I'm just going to come, see the trees have, I don't want to paint below where the trees are going to go, you know, but so I'm just going to give it, and this is much lighter down here. So, and I like that. So I'm going to lift the paint a little bit and make sure that's lighter. I can lift it, or I can also take it, you know, with the brush. Okay. So, yeah, obviously that's not perfect. There's some blue shining through some of the foliage, but I think for the most part, the sky is pretty much done. You know, I hope it's not too light because it really dries lighter. In fact, while it's still wet, I'm going to just make sure that it's not too light. Now I can go over it again as long as it's nice and wet. You know, as soon as it starts drying up, well, then you get those blooming effects and whatnot. So
What happens if it's darker than that?
when this, well, then you make the other things around darker and it lightens it up. I mean, there's ways to do it, but it's usually your hosed.
So once it's dry, you can't get that sort of what, I don't know if you call it, it's not really a blue.
Yeah,
like a blend.
there's not a lot of rendering like normal paint, you know, like oils and acrylics, you go
Right,
back and
got it.
forth.
Yeah,
You apply it, you know, it's like I applied it, and I'm letting the watercolor just, you know, do its thing.
yeah.
You can re-wet it and apply more coats, but this is what I'm going to do. Now, I probably will have to do this twice because I'm not going to get it dark enough, but I'm going to give it an old try now. And so I'm just going to get the water in here, and I'm using kind of the same color as the sky. I'm going to add a little more Payne's gray to it. I know that I'm going to have to go over this twice, but I just thought the important thing is to get the shape right. Now, you notice I have a flat brush. I like flat brushes because, see, I can get really a big broad stroke, and I can come in here with little details. See, I can get real sharp with it too. Now, I'm not paying a lot of attention to, you know, getting it perfect, like I said. In fact, I probably erase these lines later. I just changed it up, but it's the general feeling that, you know, this general shape, and I really like the shape of this. And every once in a while, you can leave these little divots, and that's snow. Let's just call it snow.
So
Yeah.
typically in watercolor, the white is the paper.
The
You
white is the
don't use- you
paper.
don't use white.
I should have told you that right
You
away.
don't
Yeah,
use white.
I'm
paint.
leaving white.
Yeah.
However, in this case, yes, the white is the paper. You know what? Another thing here, I'm yapping away. You have to mix enough color because otherwise you got to go back like I'm doing now and try to remix.
Yeah.
And but since it's changed up here, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I don't mind. So anyway,
Yeah,
I'll
you
just
made
get,
a comment that the.
yeah,
water
you
is
can
the
see how
same
much
color
lighter
as the
it's
sky,
coming
but it's
out.
really not.
And then they have,
Darker.
there's a little reflection here of this. Anyway, let me just
But
finish
he's
this
using
up.
the same colors. that he used. Different proportions.
So I'm just gonna get the edge right. And as you can see, I'm actually drawing with the brush. I'm not going to, get into a lot of detail here. I'm just gonna,
Do you use chalk for the snow after?
can you speak up a little higher? I'm sorry, I can't.
It's hard to hear.
Do you use chalk for the snow when they're done, like white chalk?
Do I,
Chalk.
She's chalk. Do you use chalk for the
Chalk.
snow?
chalk?
Yeah, no.
No, I'll use some white paint in some areas, but I'm just pure watercolor for me. I just, I like the purity of the watercolor. Okay, so it's still nice and wet, right?
So the color here and then,
Colors aren't very accurate.
yeah, I know, but really, so the option is to use the very dark.
This color, right?
That's an earth color. I'll be using that in the, but what I'm gonna do here now is I'm gonna lift part of the,
Oh, okay.
where the reflection is, because it's still wet.
Mhm.
So I want to take a wet brush
Okay.
and just literally dry the brush.
Mhm.
So, and then here it is, come down here and just lift it.
Oh, wow, that's very good. Wow, yeah,
See?
Wow.
I see.
And, I'm not being real accurate. I don't really care about accuracy right now.
Mhm.
I just care more about getting the
Yeah,
forms
this-
done.
yeah.
And let's give this one a little one. What the heck?
So,
Yeah.
so you change the blush because it's much.
Yeah, this
easier for
one's a filbert, and it still holds a lot of paint, but it comes to a nice point.
Okay, got it.
And I like this little light coming down in here.
Mhm.
The thing about lifting is you can't have a wet brush. You have to have a dry. What I mean by dry brush is you wet it and then you literally dampen it like that. So
Okay.
it's still wet,
Yeah,
but it takes the paint up.
Okay.
So let's see if this works. There we go.
Mhm.
Little thing here.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So
Nice. Mhm.
okay. Now I'm going to go back over this, but for now it's okay. Now I'm going to take, because this is in the shadows,
Mhm.
I'm going to take some of the paint that I have here and just go
Okay.
lighter.
Okay, wow.
So I still have the shape of it,
Mhm.
and I'll do that with this. See, because the sun is coming from this side.
Right, yeah.
So there's a shadow here. I might be getting a little premature for this, but I'll just do this one. Oops, a little dark. Yeah. See, there's a little more definition here.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's right.
okay, we have that. Now,
Yeah.
before I go any further, I'm gonna erase some of these lines, and I hope it does. I know I wet it, but let's see.
So you recommend the eraser?
Yeah, I'm not one of these artists that I got I don't mind pencil being shown through. I mean, look, that makes it more of a painting.
Mhm.
Oh, you can see where little yeah, here's some little dark. See, it's still wet, and there's little dots that came. I don't know whether it's I spit on it or how I got that, but
It
don't
looks nice.
ever like, oops, no, you're done now. But
Yeah.
this is part of it. Now, for the snow, because this is still drying up here, but this is all nice and dry. So I'm going to try to put some of these deep shadows, but what I'm going to do, see, I have several mixing areas, and I'm going to use this one for the, for the water and I'm gonna use this one for the snow.
So you never use round brushes?
I,
Round.
yeah, I do. I have some nice round brushes. A good thing you said that, because now I'm gonna start using it. This is a beautiful brush. It holds a lot of paint, and it comes to a nice point. What is this? A handmade, this is a Princeton Neptune, they call it.
Okay.
They call it a quill brush. You know, it looks like an old quill. They're kind of hand done, so they don't last for, I mean, you know, these things start falling apart. I have another one that I paid a lot of money for, and I won't ever do that again because they kind of fall apart after a while. Well, this one seems to be holding up. So it's not the price of the brush
Really?
all the time, you know, just like wine. It's not really how much you spend, it's whether you like it or not. Okay, so for the snow, I'm going to use basically the same colors, except I'm going to warm it up a little bit. Now, another thing about reference, it's always false color. It's never really, you know, accurate. You know, it's a printer there, you know, it's a photograph, which isn't accurate. Then you go to make a file, and that's, you know, a JPEG, that's not accurate. And then you go to print it, and that's so all the way down the road. It's, again, we're just using it as an impression, you know. But what I'm going to do here for the shadows is I'm going to mix, and this is good to know, just in general. So I'm going to mix some dark Prussian blue, that's so intense, and some Lazan crimson. And you mix these two together, basically, a dark blue and a crimson is what makes Payne's Gray, believe it or not, and some black. But so I'm going to touch a little Payne's Gray in here, and you can see I need more crimson. Now I'm going to mix a lot of this, and it's really thick and dark, which is not what I want, but I can thin it down. See, and more, you got to get the paint off your brush. If you're mixing, you got to make sure that you get it, all of it, because there could be some particles on the brush, and then when you put it on, it's like, so I've done, whoops, there's no spot. I've done wet on wet so far, right? So now I'm going to go dry on, I'm sorry, wet paint on dry paper, and that's scary. But before I do, I'm going to test the color out. That's a little bit too dark.
Why is it scary?
Because you can erase it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Why is it scary?
Is
Is it more
It's
challenging?
it's people ask, well, why do you do watercolors, especially artist friends?
No, I'm
"Man, it's
not
so
asking why
damn
you do
no, but other artists says it's so damn hard. Why do you do it?
Yeah.
And
You
that
like it.
I
You
think
love
it's the point. It's because it's hard, and I have to get gulp ready for. And then of course now I'm doing a demo, so not only that, it's performance art on top
I
of all
see.
the other stuff. Am I gonna make it worthy? So, you know, okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave all that white, and so I'm going to give it a light wash of. So here's the shadows.
It's almost like a dark.
Now I need, so I'm going to use some cerulean blue. I'm going to use some lighter blue. See, I have these two colors, and they're going to be mixed. So I don't have the white, I have plenty left. And I'm going to just tone this whole thing down a little bit, because the snow, believe it or not, it looks white, but it isn't white. You know, when you start putting everything else in, it's
kind of a blue.
yeah, I'm going to give it a little blue tint. Whoops, not that much, but I'm going to tint it a little blue here, and forgot to leave my little white there. Now remember, sharp edges, clean, you know, dry paper, sharp edges, wet paper, soft edges. And this probably is darker than I want it to be, but once the relationship between the other things get put in here, you're going to see it's going to be lighter, and it dries lighter. Okay, so I put my little wash in, and I'm going to do the same for this. But you notice the lighting on here is warm. It's a little warm. Now, remember I said, oh, don't go with the color. And you shouldn't. But I think that warming this up just a tiny bit is going to help bring that foreground to us. So that being said, what color? I'm going to use, I'm just going to, here's where you can't really mix the colors up. I'll use another one.
Yeah, if you need fresh water, I can get it for you.
Yeah,
Let me know.
almost
Okay.
ready. So I'm just going to use a little Naples yellow. And of course, I had to get my brush clean because if you start putting that Naples yellow or yellow ochre with that blue, I guess it's going to be green. Now that's way too much. So I just want to tint it a little bit. You probably can't even see that on the video, but I warmed it up just a little bit. All right, so, you know, you can see I'm not carrying, I'm kind of getting real loose. I'm not going like, that isn't to say there's anything wrong with that. Well, I'm much more of a kinetic painter. I just want to get, I like to get the whole thing going at once and not, start from the upper left and down to the bottom right. And some are, watercolors do that. It's all very sharp and penciled out, and they just start going around. And I've tried that. It's like paint by number. I just get bored out of my mind. I can't do it. So I have to, this is my style. Very, very painterly. So now we have these tones, right? This is, of course, it's going to be even darker than that. But I think now it's time to get some of this foliage in, and that's going to be tricky. So I have a special brush for that. Notice it's very light. I didn't put much yellow on there. And if you think there's too much, you
Very different color from the screen,
just
yeah.
while it's still wet, you can dry a little bit. Anyway, this is going to be in layers, so we're going to get just going to be darker. But what I want to do is get this value of the trees in here. When it comes to some of these the light's coming through, yeah, I'll probably use white paint because there's just too much detail. Anyway, yeah, because see, it looks good so far, but it's not. How should I say? I need to put the rest of the composition in there, even if it's just sketchy. So I'll use some of this, what I already have, some of this yellow ochre, and yeah. And I'm going to add to it some burnt umber. And I don't know if you guys have bought raw sienna, but this is raw sienna from Winsor Newton. This is raw sienna from Daniel Smith. They call it the same color. It's not dark, or it's like so you could buy a color. For instance, Naples yellow is a good one. If you get, this is Winsor Newton Naples yellow. If you get it from Daniel Smith, it's like not the same at all. It's a real dark color. And so I'm not hooked on particular brands, but I am on the, what the paint looks like. That's important to me. So I'm going to use this 1 inch. Oh, I think this is a 1/2 inch. I can't tell. Maybe this is the 1 inch. Then anyway, it's a flat brush. It's this bin, and I'm just going to come in, make it a little darker, and I'll use their. Also, this particular one that is from Daniel Smith is much more transparent than the other. There's all kinds of little things with it. Now, when I get in with this, I'm gonna start with the horizon, because that's a sharp line, right? Okay. So I'm gonna get that in there first. And you notice that I'm using a little dry brush because I like when it, breaks up and the snow can break it up like that. So, I'm just gonna come in and I'll spot it here a little bit. Comes down, and I'll spot it a little more. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just using the side of the brush, doing a little dry brush technique, just to, because it's a lot of snow all over the place. And then I'll just come up and see what I'm doing? I'm just flecking it. That tree can go in later, but see how much lighter it's down, already. It's like, God, I should have used it even darker. Anyway, so I'm gonna I'm just gonna get it in quick here. And that's what's good about winter scenes. I like leaving a lot of the paper show through, it's just kind of a nice effect. But this is helping me already get a real good grip on the composition.
All of a sudden.
It's coming along a little bit.
Yeah,
better, huh?
Definitely.
it's
With the
amazing.
trees, you have to
Oh,
get
wow.
Very
all
good.
the composition.
Okay, so, and I don't want to do too much more. That's good enough for now. So let's get back to the shadows. You notice I'm not really, it's no detail yet. It's just kind of effects. I'm still into the effects mode. I really like the way this turned out. So rather than, go back over the water, I'm going to start putting in the shadows for the, see, I have two bowls because one's warm and one's cool. So I'll go back to the cool one.
Is that
And
how you work at home too, with two different?
yeah, I usually, it's a big bowl and a small one or whatever. Yeah, because I'm lazy. I don't want to keep changing the water every time. So the bowl is much bigger, but we're a smaller place. And also at home, sometimes I use a porcelain palette because it's just the best. I don't know if you've ever used porcelain as a palette, but it just, it's just great. This is real good because I've been using it, but a lot, when you buy them at first, some of these plastic ones, they just resist the paint. You can't, some people sand it down. That doesn't help. Then it just gets stained. Plastic's great for outdoors, but there's nothing like porcelain. However, they're real heavy and they break. If you drop it, you're done with that palette. There's no
It's
fixing
not
it.
something you're gonna take with you,
Yeah.
just leave it at your studio. right?
Now I can see how it's still kind of warmed up. I'm going to use some of this. Yeah. And so I'm just going to go in here right now and gulp. Also, get ready with your paper towels and everything you need, so I'm just going to be bold and go in here and make some shadows. See how I'm doing it? Just, okay. There's a big shadow here. There's kind of this goes up. See, the bottom is sharp. And the top, I'm just going to wet it and soften it up a little bit. See that? That's nice. See that? That's what I'm trying to get here. Yeah, I am drawing with the brush to get this. And for instance, some of these shadows from, I like shadows that come from unseen objects. It's like, well, there's a tree over there, but you can't really see it. I might need a smaller brush for this. This is more of like a rigger brush. So let me just. See, so I'm going to do that first, and then come up and I'm going to tie it in with this. And now I'm just going to wet it so it's nice and soft. And one of the things is it's got this nice glow down here. I'm not sure if I can capture that, but I'll try. It's kind of a little more crimson maybe. And don't forget that nice sharp white line here. I'm gonna do that. And you see how it's almost the same value as the, yeah, that's not what I want, but I can change that because once I make this darker, it'll be lighter. That's what I was saying before. You want to lighten something up, just make the object next to it a little darker. So some of this is, some of it's sharp, some of it's light, some of it's blended. I'm just going to blend it in a little more. See how, okay, so there we go. Just wet it a little bit, and that gives you the super dark. And I'm not really concerned right now. I'm concerned about values, and I'm always, looking at it and going, is that the right value? Yeah, I got some hair over there. You just leave it, I guess that's what my point is. You just don't worry about that. I like that, how it comes down here and it looks like snow. Okay, so we're going to take some of the same color and go on this side. And I'm going to, again, paint with the brush. And since all of this is kind of a tone, you notice that? Like this whole area is kind of in shadow, but because it's snow, it still shows through. It's important to get the shadows going in the shape of the same shape as the snowbank. I can't go like that. It's got to be in the, you know what I mean? It's got to, that's important. That's really important. And these are real light, so I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to leave that a lot of the white, and I'm just going to just flick my brush for the shadows. And
Very good. Yeah.
You're watching it from that.
So the
angle.
good,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
shadow
good.
gives it its
Very
depth.
good. Yeah.
Gives
Yeah.
it the sense of depth.
Yeah.
okay. That's really different.
Yeah.
So let me get a little more of that shadow color here. This is a little darker. As a matter of fact, let's do the whole thing because it's really all that is in shadow pretty much. Now you notice this, it's not exactly coordinating to the reference.
Yeah.
That's okay.
It's your
So
prerogative.
all right, so I have that. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go a little darker with the foliage. Before I do, I got to make sure the sky is dark enough. Now again, it's very false color here. It's not exactly right, but I really do like. You've seen the winter skies. They are super blue, and this is in the mountains, so I'm sure so. So I'm going to make the sky a little more pure.
So this is water.
Yeah, that's water. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a walk.
No.
I guess I'm showing you this because should I do the sky more? No, I think I'll.
I
leave
think
it.
it's nice.
I think it's. I'm going to go.
I like, I love, personally, I like it.
I'm gonna leave it.
But you're the painter.
I know. What I do want to do is I really got to get this in darker. So I'm just going to leave it. I should mention that when I teach the students, they have a hard time with, well, how, the whole trick with watercolor is how wet the paper is, how wet or dry the paper is, and how much thick or thin the paint is. The viscosity of the paint and the wetness of the paper is that's watercolor. It's everything. That's the whole thing. So how do you tell people? So for paper, there's like four things. Remember when it's wet and it's real shiny? Well, that's we'll call it wet.
Mhm.
That's wet. And when that soaks in and you can't see it shining anymore, but it's still really wet, that's called moist. Okay, so you'll still get soft lines, but it won't be, you know. Now, when moist starts drying, like it is here, but the hardest one is damp. Damp paper. What is damp? Well, one way you can find, see, this is dry here, and the paper's warm. But if you then put your fingers on top of it and it's cool, that means it's damp. Good thing to keep in mind. However, when you do that, use the back of your fingers, because not because you have paint on it, but that's a good idea not to do. But your blood flows. You can't tell the temperature as much on you can tell the temperature on the back of your hand easier than you can if you go like that. So that's the reason.
Do you use a dryer?
A dry.
Dryer to dry the
Oh
paper?
yeah. We don't need it tonight so far because
Okay.
I'm yapping so much it's drying up on me.
Okay.
So, but I have my hair dryer right here,
Okay.
and we'd have to pull the sound down. It's going to blast everybody out. I don't need it right now because it's dry enough. This is damp, and I can go right. Damp is going to give you pretty sharp lines. I don't like what I did here, but I got to keep going. So, that's another thing I want you to keep in mind is that when you're doing watercolors, at least the way I do them, you can't, when you put the paint on and it doesn't look right, that's normal. Like oil and acrylic painting, you put it on and that's the way it's going to look. But watercolor, it's going to dry on you. It's going to be different. It's not, you don't have, so it rids me of all my expectations. I don't know. I don't know if this is going to turn out. I just have no idea. And I think that's why I like it so much, because I have to surrender to this, the whole process.
I thought a person like you so experienced, I thought you can tell.
I'm not years
Like
ago.
a person like you so experienced can tell.
Honestly, I'm going to give everybody, I have a group, a Facebook group called Watercolor Lovers. And it's, I started it because I saw all this amazing watercolors from all over the world, and I'm blown away. It's like, I just wanted it for my own repository so I can get inspired. But now it's become like, I've had it for like 6 years. And now it's like, it's like huge. There's like over 100,000 people on it now. I'll explain that a little later. There's a few rules, and I shouldn't have. One of them is that you can't post your own paintings. It's for inspiration. So, and people don't get that. And I blew it for myself. Wow, with all those people, I can't even post my own. However, if you have a friend that wants to post it for you, so there's ways around it. But I was going to mention that in many parts of Asia, they don't kids don't learn handwriting the way we do with a pencil. They have a brush. They're going to brush on the kanji or have those skills really early on is a big advantage, have those brush skills. And I think that's why they're so good at it. When I see some people, it's just, what? They use one brush and it looks like a crummy one. And it's, oh my gosh, so I'm blown away by other artists,
So you did this one and you did so many things.
Well, yeah, but those really good ones. Okay, so let me get focused here. Where was I? Aha. I'm gonna get in a little more of this foliage back here because I think it need. Oops, we want to see the contrast. I want to bring that out more. So I'm going to use speaking of brush technique, I'm going to use it's called a rigger brush. You see, you got these round brushes and they're terrific. You see how but they're short. They don't hold a lot of paint. This holds a lot more paint, so you can go. They're great for branches and stuff. But I like them because So I'm just gonna dirty it up here with some, because I can just go like that and I get to see through some of
Oh,
the foliage, see?
oh,
That makes sense? Yeah, it's called a rigger brush or, good question. Princeton, it's number 6. They come in different 6, 8, 4. But it's long. Look for the
Oh, yeah.
long, the long bristles. And
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna go, see, I'm doing some dry brush up here.
Mm.
And dry brush is great because it lets you, I can see some of the white underneath, and I think that's important. And so I'm gonna get bold. I'm gonna come up here with it. See, it looks like a tree already.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing is
It
it's a technique,
Yeah.
If I go in and try to paint every little branch, it'll look forced, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm trying to avoid that. And I'm gonna come in here and see how I'm mixing some of the other colors to get the real dark base to it. And I wouldn't go dark everywhere. It's just certain areas, just to punch it, just to punch it up a little bit. Is that even a term? I have a
Sounds
illustration and graphic design background, so it's, hey, punch it up, I know what you mean. But, more contrast, I think that's what they mean. Or make it, anyway. Huh?
It's like the cookie concept, pick it up and up.
Yeah, kick it up.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm kicking it up right now. I'm going to use some more paint. Some of this raw sienna. Raw sienna seems to work. It plays really nice with these. So I'm going to just tap in. You see that big tree over here?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to take another one. This is a smaller rigger, and I'm going to get bold here and just go in dark.
Mm.
Now I'm not believe it or not, it's not black. I like using what they call neutral tint. It does, but believe it or not, when you mix neutral tint in with another hue, it pretty much lets you the color remains. It just darkens the color. If I use black, for instance, I can show you. If I use I'm going to keep this. So I'm going to use some yellow ochre with this, and mix it. And you see how it's like, it's just a dark yellow ochre.
Mhm.
If I did black with yellow ochre, it would turn green.
Mhm. Okay.
So neutral tint is kind of nice to have. I also have black, but I have it sitting on this. It's like black over here and white over here. Never the twain shall meet, because it's, in watercolors. But
Tin.
neutral
Yeah.
tint, it's called.
Tint.
Yeah.
Do you not use black very often?
The black that I use for doing no tans and just monochromes is called lunar black, and I think it's by Daniel Smith or something. I went to a demo and an artist had this, and they were getting like, "What do you get that texture?" So, lunar black. All right, I want to get me some, and apparently now I know why it's called lunar. It looks like the moon. It looks like the surface of the moon. It's extremely grainy and granular, and that's why I like it. So I don't think I'm going to use any of that for here, but I can demo it on a different piece of paper and show you. It's really cool. All right, so I'm just going to, there it is. I'm just going to take this gulp. Remember how I went gulp? And I'm going to take this all the way up. There's that tree.
Huh.
Okay, that's all right. All right. Now that I did that, I have a little more. So I'm just going to, the thing about getting these trees, I forgot. I really want this one here. And that's important. So that's coming from kind of here and I can, thicken the branch here a little bit more. But I really like that tree. So I'm doing the big bold ones right now, and then refine as I go, it'll be more and more refined. This one kind of comes up like that. People are like, how do you know? How do you get the tree? So one of the things with trees and branches, you kind of have to make it like, like it's real natural. So I kind of just twist the brush a little bit.
Okay.
I don't really,
So you have to breathe first.
so that's probably good enough for that side. This one,
To breathe.
I'm just going to put a few in. The other thing about when you're doing foliage and stuff, you don't have to fill it in. Right now, people will look at yeah, I know that. But if you start filling it all in, just leave it, let their mind fill it in. I mean, less is more in this case. Does that make sense? So I'm going to get one of these trees here. Oops, and then you might lose your line. Well, just keep going. I'm not going to, nobody's going to say, hey, that's not, so you just have to have that confidence.
I actually like the broken lines.
Yeah, I mean,
I do that with my acrylic.
yeah. So here's another. So I'm just getting the main ones in, and then I'm going to fill it in a little bit more later. And this one.
So when you paint, you never do like a sit down and hold your hand stabilize. You don't do like, you always like
not
very
for
free?
I do that for like oil paint, acrylic painting.
Okay.
But for watercolor,
Okay.
I kind of unless I'm doing a very precise thing, I like to keep it painterly and do it like that. I don't see any green in this thing, so I'm not going to really use. It's really a winter scene. However, how are we doing for time?
So it's almost 8:30.
Oh, wow, I'm running out of time, all right.
It goes by fast, yeah.
Okay, especially when I talk. So let me get this,
25 minutes.
yeah, let me get this a little more.
Anymore.
And I should more painting, less talk.
Yeah.
All right, so since we're in a crunch time, I'm going to go and do what I wanted to do with this down here. But before I do, here's another little trick. These fan brushes?
Yeah.
These are great.
Oh, shadows.
Oh,
They're really fun.
So I'm going to use a little fan brush here, and it's also really want to have, you want to test it out whenever you do this kind of thing. You want to, it's how much water and I have.
wow.
And I'm just going to test here.
I
know it's almost cheating. It's like, wow, this is so easy. But see, I'm filling in some of the. Yeah, now it'll go faster. I got my fan brush. Now this, well, yeah, I'm going to put a little green in here, and this is Hooker's green, burnt umber, makes it a nice earth color.
That's an evergreen tree.
Yeah, and I'm just going to. Maybe a little more burnt umber. And that's this tree here. So I'm just going to make it's kind of a dry brush thing.
Wow.
But, don't fill it in. Leave a lot of space around it, It goes up like that. And then these, let's put some over here.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really into yapping here. So, and
Interesting.
okay. And then there's some. All right. So far so good. I'm just gonna use a little bit of. I want to fill these trees in. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm dirty. This is dirty paint. So I'm going to use dirty paint here and just kind of dirty it up. Yeah, just kind of dirty it up. There we go. You're right. I might not finish this because I'm talking too much.
Those are more in the background.
Yeah, those see that they're back there, and actually there's a little bit over here too, but I like that white coming through. I'm just gonna, you know, dirty it up here, and it's very impressionistic paint, you know. You know, I like the impressionists, and so that's what I'm gonna do here. Now, you see that white coming through? That's, we'll enhance that. So now let's get to, the important thing is get this water right. So, let's just clean this up. Because I dirtied it. Man, that goes fast, huh? All right, so, thanks for telling me about the time. So I'm going to, remember we used, oops. We use these two colors here. And a little bit of, let's get that contrast.
So this is what you're saying you wanted to make.
So this is now going to be lighter,
I see. Yeah.
really much lighter.
Yeah, that contrast is.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
color
Wow.
is that?
This is Prussian blue and colors, alizarin crimson. And I'm gonna just erase that. Now you come in here and just. And as you come over, I don't need as much paint, and I'm just gonna make it lighter. So,
Wow, look at that.
isn't that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. You can go over it again. Just erase that white here a little bit. And so, you know, it's not, it just darkened it. It's good enough. It didn't. And for the, you know, for these little, what do we call it? Reflections, I guess. I'm not too concerned because it's very, it's almost like frozen water, you know? But this is, remember I said about mixing enough color?
Acrylic. I've never done oil.
I don't know if this translates to acrylics, but, you know, it's just painting in general. See, I have a straight line, so no, if you see a straight line, try and break it up. Straight lines are not very good. Well, that's better. I think that's better. I really like the contrast here. So,
Okay.
so what we can do is, now you see how it's, I love that it's dark up here and it goes down to
That's
light.
right,
So I'm
yeah.
just going to re-wet the paper
I see.
and I'm just make it a little
I see.
dark. See, just that, there we go. And that brings it to some dimension to it. Yeah. Same with down here. It gives us some dimension.
Yeah.
All right. So there we go with our shadows. And now I can take a smaller brush, probably one like this. And since I still have the same color, let's fix up these over here. See, I'll just go into the, I'm going to use the same. See, because, here we go. This one's all in shadow, but so is this one. This is where we can start giving these dimension, a little more dimension. And yeah, you can lift a little bit. you know, I like when it's loose, but I tend to get tight myself. So, I don't know, they're sort of loose. Now I have some of the same color. I'm gonna use it, oops. Or, you know, fill these trees in a little more. And the last thing I want to show you is just where I would put white paint. Because a lot of people ask, well, what about white? So I'm gonna do that as soon as I fill this out a little bit.
And white paint is so important with acrylics.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Here it's
Different.
they're called negative painting. You
Exactly.
keep,
Yeah.
you know, you don't paint the white, you leave the white, but you know, I'm not a purist, so I end up using it. So I don't see, now I'm gonna fill this, because I don't like these lines here. And I want them a little softer. So I'm just coming in and giving them, you know, some. And again, it's gonna dry lighter, you know. All right, so the thing is, if you go back over the shadows, they're you know, you don't want to go back. Once you put them on, that should be it. Is that better? A little bit
Really
better.
good.
Ooh, that
Yeah,
looks
it's
terrible.
very good.
That looks terrible. Okay, so, and then we have some little rocks here. So we're almost done. What time is it?
25.
20 minutes?
Yeah, you've got
Here is a
25
really good
minutes,
painting.
actually.
Just
Yeah.
right
Almost
here.
25 minutes.
Just
right?
so good. It's impressionist, just right here.
Oh, I know.
It's so
You know, I've
pretty.
taken pictures of my palette and
Exactly.
post
Look
them
at that. Look at that.
and post them up, and people will go,
It's so pretty.
now, how did you do that painting? Well, so
Raphael,
I
I have a
like
question.
taking.
Do you ever like when I'm painting on an easel, I have to step back a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
do you do
Yeah.
that with your
Absolutely.
work? Okay.
Honestly,
Not
one of the things
today,
I tell my
obviously.
students, and it's hard for them, it's like, get to a point and ponder. Just put it up and, you know, I don't know, if that's a good word, but ponder. Just take a look at it. Don't be in any hurry. I'm in a hurry, so, and it shows, but you know what I mean? Actually, let me just get a little bit more. Here's that. This is a favorite. This is like a double. See how thin this is double aught. I need a new one. But for some of these branches, I'm going to show you a little technique here that I use. So I'm going to use. It's not black. That neutral tint with a little bit of burnt umber, and I'm just going to go in and get some branches done. See that? Just, you know, not a lot, just a few. They don't have to connect. They just, you know, the thing is, you don't want to fill it in too much. You know, it's very busy, and the eye will go there where I want them to, you know. So use it sparingly. I usually do step back, and that's why it takes a long time. I don't really finish it. I just kind of, all right, let me put that on the wall. I have a big wall. I just pin it to, and then and so I get, all right, now I want to work on something else.
Yeah, take a break and.
Yeah, or
get a
do
little
another painting.
objective-
And
Objectivity.
right, and that'll freshen me up. You know, I
Yeah.
still paint, but also I take my glasses off a lot, not for the detail, but for the general scene, because it's a little blurry.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
And it helps me a lot. It helps not to see. I know.
Like Monet.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if you're doing impressionistic or squint, you don't have to,
Yeah.
you know, if you have good eyes, just squint. Okay, so actually I kind of like what's going on here. So I'm just going to put a few more branches so it looks like a tree, and then a few more out here, because this big tree is in front of us. This is where I would like finesse and come back and forth, and we're almost done here. But before I go, I wanted to show you a little bit of the white, use of white. And so I'm going to clean this up nicely because, you know, we've got to keep it pure. I know I have a bin for it, but I'm going to put the white on right here. Just, it's going to be pure. Now I got to find it. Just, here it is. Took it out of it. All right, so boom, there's a dab, and I use gouache. You can use titanium white, but gouache permanent is great.
Oh, these are all gouache?
No, they're all, this is gouache, the white is gouache, all of the rest, yeah. It just plays well with the other thing. So now I'm gonna get a thin, there's a couple of ways to do it. I'm using pure paint here. I'm not gonna mix it with any colors. But you see the snow?
Yeah.
On the trees and stuff? Well, I'm gonna do the same thing. Okay, I'm gonna test it out here a little bit and try and get that snow effect. You see what I'm doing?
Oh,
So it looks like the snow is on the trees. And I'm just doing a little bit
Okay, wow.
of, and the other thing is that,
This is gouache.
so for instance, if I go like that,
Oh, I see. Like,
Defines.
see now that's, whoa, that's cool. It
really
looks-
This is you. Look at a bird.
You could thin it down so it's not, see, when I thin it down, it won't be pure white. It kind of mixes in with the other colors. And now here, I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm just gonna go like that. Just like break it up a little
Yeah.
bit. That's the paper. The other thing is that the white, I'll give you an example. It's, so we have a little, like, I miss getting a white, so I'm just gonna give it a little right here. See that? See that? That helps, it, you know, a
Yeah.
little,
There's the
and
light.
yeah,
The light.
and I'm just gonna use a different brush. Actually, I could use a different one.
Okay, sure.
Just some, because we're using white now. There's, you know, I'm just gonna put it here. So, see, I'm not a purist. I think white is perfectly fine to use white. But let's say you wanted to clean up this edge with white, right? So I'll put some in here just to show you that it's a different color than the paper
Yeah,
is,
yeah, the
you know?
paper's not
So
as
you don't
white.
want to really do this too much. But it's great for water. You know, I'm going to be teaching actually at Pacific Art League, painting water with watercolor.
Perfect. Watercolor.
See, that's a little better.
Yeah, yeah.
You just want to make sure to,
Yeah.
and this is in the shadows.
Water with oil. Makes no sense.
makes no sense.
And you know, you can
That's
come over here, and
sculpture.
if you
That's
start doing a little
sculpture.
dry brush with it, it's actually kind of effective, you know. Here, the other thing about watercolors is you put it down, it's not a rendering back and forth. You put it down and leave it. If it doesn't look good to you, it's okay. Don't be concerned about that. It's more of a one hit and then you're done, you know. I mean, I'll give you an example. If I come in here now, I'll probably ruin this now, but if I come in here and just take this down, you know, now, see now, I would have to soften this line.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of would make it, you know, I guess that's okay,
Yeah, it is.
you know,
Yeah.
but
I really like your brush.
for instance, you can, see, I don't like what's going on here, so I'm just gonna take white. But you see how different it is, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's, this is the paint, well, actually, that's not true. I did tint it a little bit. I made it a little warmer, but,
Oh, right,
yeah, so,
That's
but it's still, it's not the same, and it looks like, oh, he's using white, you know? I just thought I'd throw it in there.
It's like it's not kosher to use white.
It's, well, some of them are just purists. You know, they're just,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a-
yeah,
I come from an illustration background,
Yeah.
whatever it takes to
Yeah.
get the image,
Yeah,
you know?
sure. Yeah.
But, for instance, I could, this is clean. Now I can take that same fan brush and just kind of,
Okay.
there have some more snow on the trees here. you know,
Oh, yeah.
And that helps break that up. So it's just an impression, you know, maybe a little over here. Actually, I kind of like that. And I don't want to get,
Very good.
I would get more and more detailed
Yeah. You don't know when to stop. huh?
But let's stop here. If I don't know if that's good for people to see.
Wow, very nice.
I think it's a good enough for
Very
an
nice,
hour
very
demo.
nice. Yeah, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. All
Very
right,
nice.
so I have some cards there.
Okay.
Yeah, take one of those. I only have actually let me give you